Hello, everyone. My name is Felix Baum, and whether you know it or not, you and I are actually very similar people. It's true. Everyone in this room shares a few key shared traits. Here's one. This morning, we all woke up. We got out of bed, put on some clothes, and came to this auditorium, not necessarily in that order, but we are all here now. And since we're here, I'll ask you a question. When you woke up this morning, what was your first thought? If you're like me, your first conscious thought of the day was about this event. Or maybe you thought about waking up itself. You thought about being sleepy or trying to convince yourself that you're awake. Also likely, you tried to orient yourself. You asked the questions that matter. What day is it? What time is it? Where am I? These first thoughts upon waking are called penumbral thoughts. And although they may seem confused, groggy, even downright nonsensical, they are extremely important because they're another reason why we are so similar. You see, normal day-to-day thought and dreams, they vary wildly from person to person. Although some will come close, no one you ever meet will be cognitively identical to you, right? But penumbral thoughts are different because they're more similar between people, right? They're so similar, in fact, that Virginia Federico, a researcher at the London School of Economics and Political Science, decided to test them. Test them how? Well, she took 830 participants across the United Kingdom, and she sent them straight to bed. And when they woke up the next morning, she asked them to describe their waking thoughts. This repeated every day for 2 whole weeks. Her team compiled the data, and they found that the recorded penumbral thoughts could be boiled down to only 3 themes. The first, establishing waking action. Hopefully you'll remember my waking thought for the day. I thought about what I had to do today. I thought about this event. That's an example of waking action. Waking action is our important to-dos for the day. And it could be as simple as getting water or using the bathroom, or it could be as complex as giving a TED Talk. But it was extremely common, reported by 1 in 2 of the participants. Next, we have reflection on psychological or physical state. Now, 1 in 4 of the participants, and many of you in the crowd here today, woke up thinking about waking up, right? You thought about being tired, groggy, even disoriented as a result of coming out of sleep. Some of the participants even reported reflecting immediately on the dream that preceded their return to the conscious realm. Finally, we have temporal or spatial orientation. Right? Now, these participants, again, 1 in 4, they didn't think about the future to-dos of the day or the passing sleep they were coming out of. They asked the questions that mattered. They asked, where am I? What time is it? What day is it? Actually, 1 in 10, exactly 1 in 10, reported their exact penumbral thought, down to the words, to be, what time is it? Now, many of you have had these exact thoughts thousands of times, as have I, but why? Why are they so similar? If no one in this room, much less the entire world, thinks exactly the same way, then why are penumbral thoughts so tightly grouped? What's so special about that time period directly after waking up? Well, the answer lies in the groggy feeling you get after you wake up. For me, it feels like your brain, like my brain, is moving through a vat of corn syrup, right? This is called sleep inertia, right? And it has very real effects on your return to normal consciousness. Once your brain reboots from deep sleep, right, it selectively reestablishes normal blood flow to certain parts of the brain first. It starts with your brainstem and your thalamus, only reestablishing normal blood flow to the frontal region around 15 minutes after waking up. This results in a very primal, very basic level of cognition, right? You could compare it to your brain crawling before remembering how to walk every single morning. Right? That's penumbral thought. Right? In short, the sudden connection between our otherwise incongruent patterns of thought is because we're all similarly disadvantaged in the morning. Right? Before we have the chance to run wild with our respective trains of thought, to go put on clothes and go to TEDx conferences, we're all stuck in that beautifully harmonious, groggy state of mind. Now, today, you have learned something about yourself, but when you learn something about yourself, you learn about someone else. Consider this, right? Under normal circumstances, we might as well be thinking in different languages, right? But for a brief moment, every morning of your life, you're so much closer to everyone else than you could ever realize. Proper communication between people requires a connection, a commonality that unites us. And that produces good ideas, but it also makes us feel good. It feels powerful, right? Hidden beneath our shared traits is the psychological miracle of penumbral thought. That's your connection. That's our connection. With that connection, communication goes from being a gamble to a handshake, right? Finally, a point about selling an idea. Right? Remember the drawback of normal cognition. Your interpretation, your conclusion about something will not be identical to that of your target audience. And trying to complicate that by adding extra details will only serve to confuse. Recall the benefits, the unity of penumbral thought. If you can hone your philosophy, your brand, your idea, down to the point where someone who's just woken up, who's experiencing that sleep inertia, could reasonably grasp it, then you won't just stand out. You will have found success in embracing human nature. That's the formula for our future. That is how we go from living together to thriving together. Thank you very much.